the song with your heart. Play the song with your heart.
And one time.
Here's another thing that's been sort of a lot of rumblings going on, and it's Justin Fields. Specifically, should the Bears keep Fields and trade the picks, or should they trade Fields, keep the number one pick, and draft Caleb Williams? And so there's been a discussion about it. And me personally, I think that they should trade the pick and keep Fields. And here's why. I believe at the end of the day, you don't win championships off of the quarterback carrying the offense. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. I've seen Aaron Rodgers carry the offense as far as he could. I've seen Peyton Manning. I've seen Tom Brady, and they weren't able to do it. You win championships because of the players around you. It's going to take 52 guys on the roster to win. And Justin Fields, I believe he's good enough where you don't have to trade him and draft another quarterback. And see, here's the thing that people need to understand. If you trade Justin Fields and draft Caleb Williams, guess what you do? You make it harder to build a contending team. Albeit Caleb Williams is talented, he's great at what he does. You will have more cap space potentially. But if you keep Fields and you trade the picks and you get more picks, guess what you do? You're able to draft a Marvin Harrison Jr. potentially, right? So you just added another potentially great wide receiver to your core that you already have with DJ Moore. And then also you're probably going to get another first round pick for next year. So that's going to be a high pick. And then you have second round, third round, fourth round. You have all these picks at your disposal where you can now build a team that could potentially compete right away. But if you just draft Caleb Williams, guess what? You don't have a Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, you have cap space, but you're going to have to overpay in free agency. You are not going to have as many picks where you can draft dudes and develop them, and you'll have more chances of potentially hitting on a pick than you would if you just didn't have all those picks. So me personally, I would keep Fields, and I would just get Marvin Harrison Jr. and continue this whole sort of, okay, let's try to accumulate, let's try to get as many picks as possible, and let's try to make a contender as fast as possible instead of just taking longer than it should be. How you feel about that?
I am on team keep Fields. I believe ever since he's came back from injury, he's played some really good football, in my opinion. They've been winning games. You know, I mean, the locker room has vouched for him. The city, man, Soldier Field started a "We Want Fields" chant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's clear what needs to be done here. Now, I know if the GM wants to take a swing at a better prospect and Caleb Williams, but you gotta think about, like you said, the whole you can get better draft capital. You can't win a Super Bowl by having your QB carry the offense unless you're Pat Mahomes. So, and even look at Pat Mahomes now. He exactly.
You don't have the
So,
right coaching. You
yep.
don't have the if you don't have the
You
offensive
don't got the
line,
dudes.
you don't have the
You
right
don't got the
coaching.
dudes.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, I'm team trade the pick, load up on assets, and if you think about it, they could net another first round pick, and then get back into the first if they wanted to, maybe the
Right.
back end of the first round, or even something like that. So yeah, man, there's so many wide receivers in this draft. You got freaking Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze,
Oh my God.
Brian Thomas Jr.,
Oh
Keon
my
Cole. Like, there's
God.
so many dudes you can pick
Oh.
from this draft. The Polk from Washington. Like, there's so many dudes in this draft for wide receiver. You really can't go wrong here. And but Marvin Harrison Jr. obviously would be a dream pick for them. So yeah, I mean, like you said, and I believe the Bears have the most cap space in the league. I think they have about $100 million cap space coming up this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go out there, re-sign Jalen Johnson because he's been playing really good football. You already got your pass rusher Montez Sweat, who's done wonders for your defense. You can go out there and get a T. Higgins or one of them free agent wide receivers if you really wanted to. And then honestly, I think it may be some DBs on the market as well. So I mean, you have all the things you need to go out there and build a roster in the offseason. And if you just get those picks from trading that number one, you really setting yourself up to be pretty solid in these coming years.
Mm-hmm.
And Justin Fields isn't going to break the bank for QB money.
You can
So I
just pick
mean,
up his 5th-year option.
yeah. So I mean, I really don't. I think it wouldn't go over very well with the locker room or the fans if they want to draft a Caleb Williams. All the people on Twitter, the draft experts, want to be like, oh yeah, you draft Caleb Williams. I'm like, no, that's not how football works. This isn't Madden. Locker room
Mm-hmm.
chemistry and organizational trust, all of that stuff matters. If Justin Fields went out there and put his heart out on that field, especially if they win week 18 and they just go, yeah, let's just draft Caleb, that would be, that wouldn't go over well. That would be a bad look as an organization. Ryan Poles would be under deep doo-doo.
Yeah, yeah. I'll say this because here's the thing with Justin Fields. He has been a victim of bad coaching, a victim of bad circumstance. I believe number one, if Matt
For
Eberflus is
crying
gonna
out loud, this is the first year he had a legit NFL
wide receiver,
number one receiver. Like,
yeah,
come on now.
yeah. So here's the deal. If Matt Eberflus is gonna stay, here's number one thing they need to do. They need to get rid of Luke Getsy, the OC, and get him a competent offensive coordinator that knows what he's doing. That's number one. And I believe if you're going to keep Matt Eberflus, I believe they're going to keep Justin Fields. That's just me. If you're going to keep the head coach, there's no reason why you would just decide, oh yeah, I'm not going to keep Justin Fields because that just wouldn't make no sense to me. Because if I'm drafting Caleb Williams, I want to have a whole new coaching staff. Like I don't want to have the same regime overseeing my quarterback. That just makes no sense. Usually it's you get the new head coach, you get the new GM or whatever, you get a whole new OC and then you start fresh again. Or let's say, all right, you hired your head coach a year ago and all right, didn't play out well, you're tanking whatever, and then you have the quarterback, but they didn't do that. They have Matt Eberflus. So you have to get a new OC there, and then afterwards get Marvin Harrison Jr., get some draft picks. Like it makes total sense at the end of the day. Justin Fields is not bad enough where he can't win you games. Like Justin Fields, you can tell he can win you games. It's just the players around him have sold him so much over the year. Like Darnell Mooney, Velus Jones, at one point, Chase Claypool. Like I've seen so many instances where the players around him have just sold him. Now he needs to play better. He holds the ball too long. Sometimes he doesn't make the right reads. But at the end of the day, he's so talented that if you put the right OC with him and you put the right pieces around him, I'm telling you, bro. Like Roquan Smith even said it on Marlon Humphrey's podcast that if you give him the right pieces, he could play somewhat like Lamar. Like it could be a Lamar Jackson situation. So that's what needs to happen is if they can do their due diligence in putting the right talent around him, I'm telling you, Justin Fields is going to thrive. And there's some analysts that show the stats of Justin Fields like, oh, why are people so happy? Why are people gloating about Justin Fields and everything like that? And they'll show like these certain stats. And I'm just like, watch the film. Watch the games, bro. Just watch the games, and you can see the talent on display. And DJ Moore's had his best year with Justin Fields. Like not with the Panthers, not with Cam Newton, with Justin Fields. Now just imagine you put Marvin Harrison alongside him. Come on, bro. Come on. And
you
then
already got a good tight end in Cole Kmet.
Imagine this. Imagine you draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and they trade up and get Brock Bowers. What? Come on, man. I don't want that to happen because I'm a Packers fan, but just imagine the endless possibilities you can do if you trade the pick. Just one spot with the Commander. Just one spot. You're going to get another first-round pick, and you're going to get additional capital for him. Just one spot. You can't let that happen. Man. You cannot let that would be malpractice. That would be literal malpractice if you just decide we're just going to draft Caleb Williams because we think he's way better. We saw Trevor Lawrence. We saw what people were saying about Trevor Lawrence. Oh, he's a generational prospect. He's so different than all these other quarterbacks. And what has he done? What has he really done? He had that really good year last year, but in the playoffs, he threw like 3 or 4 interceptions, and the Chargers, they just choked. Like they just did whatever. And then this year, look what happened with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They haven't improved much. That offense hasn't improved much.
They actually regressed.
They regressed. And we look at Trevor Lawrence
fighting for the division with the first year CJ Stroud led Texans and the Indianapolis Colts who lost their QB for the year. Both were 2 top 5 teams.
Come on, man.
And one has and both have new head coaches.
And let me say this before we get off this topic. Tua Tagovailoa, albeit, yes, he has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And albeit Mike McDaniels come from the Shanahan tree. Tua Tagovailoa is a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence. Think about that. Generational talent. Trevor Lawrence beat Tua in the national championship. People were raving about Trevor Lawrence. But Tua is a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence right now. Think about that. Think about that. Circumstances, situation, play calling is important. That's why the whole generational talent thing, I look at and I laugh because at the end of the day, the quarterback is only as great as who he has around him. And Trevor Lawrence has talent, doesn't have the greatest play calling. And what has he done? He's regressed. So this is why trade the pick, don't draft Caleb Williams, stay with Justin Fields, and get him the pieces around him in order to be successful. And that's what you do. Bears fans, they love Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields. I would love to see him on the Falcons, though. But at the end of the day, be smart and don't succumb to what these analysts, what these commentators want to say about Caleb Williams, because that's what happened with Trevor Lawrence. All right. That'll do it for this segment. I'll come back to
Look, cold world, still a cold world. And a couple y'all is cool, but we a little more thorough. Whole time, a little more girls. You know I spit that sick shit and it's still no cure. Hold up, loud pack.